Welcome to Season 3 of Hines On Air, a new space for voices with something to say where conversations are recorded and remembered, hosted by Matt Hines.
Coming at you from Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Hines On Air. Hey everybody, it is Matt Hines. We are back at you with another Hines On Air. We got a super exciting program. Our guest is very impressive because a lot of people talk about changing the world and they talk a good game and how much they care and how much they're going to do. Well, today we've got Bishop Kevin Foreman, and he is amazing, just an amazing individual. I'll read you some of the accomplishments and some of the things he's involved with. He's head of Harvest Church, which is a massive organization where he's going to tell us about today. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. He's an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and when I say philanthropist, I mean the real deal philanthropy. Let me tell you, he's got over 208,000 pounds of food delivered, 138,000 articles of clothes. Bishop Foreman, I also saw on your site 5,762 adopted families or families that have. That's amazing. So you've connected children with families that needed adoption?
Well, no. What we do is we adopt the family. We take care of the family. We meet the needs of the family. We adopt the family, and then we make them part of our family, and we take care of them. We make sure they get what they need. Yeah.
Amazing, man. That's fantastic. And then also in his spare time, when he's not saving the world, he's an author. And again, not just any author. He's published 5 books, whether it's on money, another one on sins of the father, but just amazing information. So we welcome Bishop Foreman to the program. Thank you for being here, Bishop.
Listen, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be with you. Excited about our conversation. I know it's going to add a lot of value to those watching and listening.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, cool. All right. So we talked a little bit. So Harvest Church, you said you've had up in, where'd you say it was located?
Yeah, we started in Denver. So we started in Denver, planted in Denver. And really a year ago, it was a God move, a faith move. We moved our headquarters here to Atlanta. And so we've been in what we call the pre-launch phase up in DeKalb, and Stone Mountain. And we'll be launching here, in a couple of months here in the areas. We're acquiring the campus here and going through that process. So it's been an amazing journey. Last year we saw, so to us, impact's really important. Results are really important. So last year, 1,859 people made commitments of faith last year, over 12,600 in our existence. And so, for us, it's all about the impact. It's the lives that matter to us. Like, that's what gets me excited. That's what keeps me smiling and keeps me energetic like that when we see the impact.
What made y'all move from Denver?
I'm going to tell you, that's a pure faith move. I had no reason or no need to want to move other than we knew a couple of things. One, that we wanted to be in an area that we could do more and reach more. Denver is very different than the Atlanta area. Denver is 46 out of 50 for lowest church attendance in the nation. There's not a diversity in the area. It's pretty monolithic in many ways and in terms of diversity. So we wanted to be in an area that would allow us to do all of the things that we do, reach more people. And Atlanta, this region really in many ways is that city. You even look at the bird, the phoenix, the mythological creature where it sets itself on fire at the end of one level of life. And then it reemerges and resurges better than it was before. So for us, in many ways, it just was a God move because I had no reason to do it, to be very honest with you.
Wow. That's exciting, man. When did you say you will be like up and running?
Yeah, we're launching March in the Q1 this year. The full launch is March, and we call a pre-launch phase now, but we'll be fully launched here in the month of March, and it's going to be amazing. It's exciting to see what's already happening in the area as we've been building our team here. That it's really exciting to see that. But March will be that timeline. We can get the information at bishopforeman.com.
Okay, and you said you got your campus picked out.
Yeah, we're in that process right now. We're in that acquisition due diligence. We're all in there right now.
Ooh. That's exciting, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, good. All right, so let's go back. I saw on your website, it looked like you had done a lot of work with different demographics, helping them kind of come along and just improve their lives. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the joke is I came out of my mom's room with a Bible and a briefcase. I had this affinity towards spirituality and success and business and entrepreneurship. Those two worlds just always melded together and came together for me. And so my whole life has really been that way. I started my first business when I was 12 years old. There's a bank in Denver called Young Americans Bank. They have a special charter from the state to offer financial products for young people. So I was the first. We pioneered their business loan program. To this day, on the second level of that bank, every young person, every entrepreneur that goes in there, there's a picture of me when I was 12 years old, holding up my original business plan. I've got that the picture of me holding that up. They have to walk past that. It's really a great honor to me because I get to be a part of the story and the legacy of so many other entrepreneurs. 12 years old was around the same time I got into ministry too. So I started as a drummer, evolved from there, did a bunch of music stuff, was inducted into the Colorado Gospel Music Hall of Fame, and then eventually as a pastor and leader. All of what I've always done has been about, and you've heard me mention already, about seeing results in the lives of people. There's a lot of talkers, not a lot of walkers. There's a lot of people saying a lot, but not necessarily doing a lot. So for me, I've been so focused on doing the work. And so whether that is, like you mentioned, adopting your families, whether that's taking care of those that have been marginalized, disenfranchised in whatever way, making sure their needs are met. We just got out of the holiday season. We just gave away hundreds and hundreds of toys to families, crossing the 28,000 mark of toys that we've given away. And so, to me, it is, we find a need and we meet that need. Or we do the second thing, we find somebody else meeting that need and we support them. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We can just support those that are already doing it too.
Gotcha. That's amazing, man. Do you see, I've been going through this whole, transition period or rethinking of how I see life, because you're an entrepreneur, and I assume you like capitalism and the ability for an individual to go out there, set up shop, and have unlimited potential with whatever like that. And then I saw something on YouTube one time. This was Senator Josh Hawley. Okay, I forgot where he's from. He's pretty vocal. And he was grilling a CEO, just grilling him. Because the CEO had given himself about a $20 million bonus, but he also fired like 1,500 people from his company. And, so obvious, just pure selfishness, not looking out for the group like you would hope they would. But there still, I guess, should be this freedom for a company or capitalist or entrepreneur to be able to run a company like he wants. I'm curious your perspective. Like, where do you see maybe, I don't know how I frame this, man. Let me ask this. Do you see people willing to go out and really improve the lives of others, or should the government be more involved in sort of pushing, almost a little socialistic, pushing more efforts to help the needy, help others?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think the reality is, you cannot operate in good faith and not do good for people. I think that's just the bottom line to it. I get business. Business is about profits. Business is about making money, but you can make money and do good. Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. You don't have to do one at the expense of the other. I also think it's important too, when you look at government, coming from Denver, where we were very involved. I was very involved on the policy side of a lot of things that happen to improve the lives of people, and a lot of times, at the state level, local level, and sometimes in the federal level, they would send me bills, send me stuff. Bishop Foreman, take a look at this. Let us know what you think, etc. So to me, I think there's a very different perspective when you're on the ground with people, interacting and engaging in their lives.
Sure.
So I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and. I don't think you have to do business at the expense of doing good for people. At the same time, I think at the end of the day, there's an individual responsibility that every person has to engage in, every person has to take to improve and advance their own lives, their own families. But at the same time, I think there's so many factors. It's a tapestry. Like it's layers to this thing. And depending on a person's background, where they're at, what they're doing, I think there's so many levels that go into that. So, but I've never seen, this is me personally, I have never seen that to do business and to make money, that doesn't mean that I cannot do good and do well and make sure that we create opportunities, for people to do that for themselves. Case in point, one of my first businesses was a mortgage company. In fact, by the age of 21, I built Denver's largest Black-owned mortgage company. I don't know that anybody ever exceeded that afterwards. I don't know. I didn't check after that. But the point was, I intentionally went after hiring individuals that didn't have necessarily background, that didn't necessarily see that they could tap into that business and show them how to build very successful, profitable, good, solid careers. I intentionally did that because I saw it as a way to both be productive and, increase from a pecuniary standpoint. But at the same time, you can also be productive and help people. So I think you got to do both.
I agree with that. But do you think human nature on the majority will do it on its own?
No, not at all. No.
I don't either.
And I can say that without being a cynic or I'm being negative. It's just the reality of human beings. And I think that's where the component of faith comes in, because then, for me, you can talk faith and you can live faith. You can talk the talk or you can walk the walk. And I don't think human nature does that. I think it has to be an intentional desire to say, I'm going to do this and this. And these two things don't have to be at the expense of one another.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a capitalist, I guess you could say, and I believe in capitalism, but I see selfishness like the example I mentioned. And without a nudge, whether it's coming from faith or whether it's coming from requirements by law or whatever, I don't see really a whole lot of people helping even when they can. Somebody's got $500 million in their account. It's probably just going to sit there for the most part while somebody else is starving. Now, but I hate to move in and say government's going to make them pay. I don't know where the balance between all that is, because they'll never spend it all. But
I think this is it. I think that's where conversations, I think one of the things I think has been lost, especially in culture today, is the ability to have a conversation and to actually listen without having a predetermined answer response. I love how you said, I don't know where the balance is, because I think when in the I don't know, in that gray, that everybody, regardless of what side or what perspective or what belief or whatever it is that they hold in there, I think that's where the real answers are. Because again, I think we live in such an extreme society where it's either or, that the reality is it can be both hands.
Yeah. I see Mandani's, I think I'm pronouncing that right, success in New York, and he's pushing somewhat of a socialist agenda. And I think from what I can gather, he appears to genuinely want to help people. I don't see any ulterior motive that's evil. I'm not trying to get too political. I don't know how you feel on this stuff, but it appeals to a lot of people. And he's like, well, we're going to set up, I think he said 5 government-run grocery stores so that we can control prices and give people something they can afford. We're going to do this. And I'm like, I'm interested to see how it works out, because it is government taking over. And I think our nature is to say, whoa, that's communism or whatever. But I'm curious. I mean, the millionaires in the city aren't going to help the poor. And if government doesn't step in and kind of push it a little, they're just going to remain miserable. So I don't know. I'm just curious, because you've seen a lot. I know you've helped so many different people in so many different situations, and you yourself are blessed and gifted with the ability to create stuff and make it grow. So I don't know. I was just kind of curious your perspective on all that.
Yeah, no, I love the question. And I think again, I think back to that both and I think the truth is what we've been doing, is it working to the fullest extent that it could work? And I think that's across the board, regardless of a person's political persuasion, beliefs, or what have you. What we've been doing hasn't been working as effective as it could. We have more than enough talent, skill, ability, resources, money, so that there is a culture in society where more people can do well. And I'm not saying that it's somebody else's responsibility to take care of what somebody else does or to work for somebody else to do that. But what I am saying is we got more than enough to make sure that things can be doing way better than they are now. So I like the concept of different ideas. To me, it's having the audacity to try something different than the status quo. Status quo, means slow death. And I think we got to break out of status quo.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, cool. So, so you mentioned some of the shifting back over sort of the entrepreneurial side. So you've started, how many companies have you started in your life?
Oh, goodness. Let's see. So total 5. Total 5.
You mentioned a mortgage broker, certainly a successful church organization. What else have you started?
Yes. So M&A, private equity, so mergers and acquisitions. And then we have, so my very first one was a tutoring service. That was my very first thing. And then lawn care, and then sort of just the general catch-all for any of the other types of companies that I would acquire. What I'm really into these days is the M&A. When you started things and you've been on since the age of 12, like I've had the on button since 12. When you've done that your whole life,
Yeah.
at this point, what I want to do is just buy what somebody else built and just make it better. At this stage,
Are you able to go in pretty easily and spot the outnesses? Like say, all right, if I get rid of this manager, if I start more marketing here, or if I start, you can spot where it's failing.
Oh yeah, generally you can tell. One, I never buy fixer uppers, if you will. For me, you want to buy something that is a business that is doing well. And typically, just because someone's selling doesn't mean the business is doing bad. Many times it's just they want to retire. You've got that thing, what do they call it? The silver wave, I think is what they call it now, where you've got a lot of baby boomers, et cetera, beginning to retire, move into some other things. So you're able to get great businesses, not like they're horrible businesses, but a lot of times it's simple stuff. It's technology, it's systems, it's POS, it's upgrading, it's marketing, it's, outsourcing some of the things from doing them in-house and getting them with professional companies. So often we're able to spot that stuff pretty on. And I try to actually find it in due diligence before we, complete an acquisition. So that day one of acquisition, we know exactly what we're going in to do. We know exactly where we're going in to change, because my focus remains ministry and changing lives. But as another way that I get to do that is through the different businesses and companies that I acquire, is having the ability to make sure that those companies are great and those people are having great lives and know what they do.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Do you have a set amount of time when you go in, buy a company, and say in the beginning you were like, all right, I think it's going to take 2 years to turn this thing around, but it's taken more like 5 or 7. Is there a point where you're like, you know what, this didn't work out as planned, I'm going to dump it? Or do you say, no, I'm going to make it happen no matter what? I'm in it to the end.
That's a good question. My nature, honestly, as a person, is the latter. Here's what business, here's what ministry, here's what life has taught me. And sometimes, what's those say, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Yeah.
And so what I try to look at is this investment worth it? Because every fight isn't a fight worth fighting. If there's nothing to win, sometimes the right thing to do in that fight is simply say, this is not my fight. And so, each business is different. Each one has different life cycles. Each one's got a different business cycle. Everything's different. To me, it really is dependent upon that business. And it really also is dependent upon, my appetite for that issue. When you stay in the ring, so to speak, there's some issues I just don't have an appetite for. And I think one of the greatest things a leader could do is figure out, where's my time best spent? Where's my energy best spent? Where's my expertise best spent? And let me spend it on that. Because if I spend it on a bunch of things that aggravate me, that keep me frustrated, I won't be my best. People won't get my best. And then consequently, you'll begin to resent the thing that you're called to do. You'll begin to hate the thing that you were sent to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
There was a podcast with Patrick Bet-David. He was interviewing John Morgan, and I don't know if you know those names. John Morgan is the owner of Morgan & Morgan. That's one of the biggest law firms in America. Yeah, they're everywhere. And he was asked, what is your best advice for somebody that's trying to be successful? And you would think like market hard or hire the right people or blah, 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 whatever it is. A lot of good little one-liners. His answer was, he paused and he's like, you got to be patient. And I'm like, that is a great answer, because it's hard for me to decide on some of these things. Am I being not patient, or is it truly just logically time to fold them? And it's hard for me to make that decision sometimes, because you're invested, you're connected emotionally. It's hard just to fold it and say, that didn't work. Next.
Yeah. But I look at it like this, the definition of patience. A lot of times we think of patience as waiting, but the technical definition of patience is the level of endurance you have before you become negative while you're being delayed or provoked. So to me, when there's a delay, when there's a provocation, I have to look at that and say, is this delay? And here's a saying I came up with: every delay is to my benefit. So I stopped worrying about timelines as much as I was concerned about outcomes, as much as I was concerned about goals being accomplished. Because many times when something can be delayed, and I've seen that happen in tons of deals where I'm like, I wanted this done, 4 years ago. I wanted this done, yesterday. But the delay saved me from making horrible decisions. So I think for me, that's where there is this importance of me of not just being a man of faith, but walking by faith is that, every delay, it's divine for me. It's working to my benefit. So I don't get mad. I don't get angry. I used to, and I'm a human being, so I still have human moments. Let me be very clear about that. But I believe every delay is to my benefit. And then when it comes to being provoked, sometimes I look at the provocation is this, sometimes resistance is an indication I'm going to have great results in this area. So sometimes I look at resistance and saying, what's on the other side of this that would cause all of this resistance to come? And so I got to evaluate that a little more. And I think when you back up away and look at patience as those two things, it helps you to just reframe it. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just a simple mental reframing in order to bring about a greater level of results from what it is that you're doing. Because I get it. To your point, sometimes you know what, I'm done with this. But sometimes I've seen that, like I go back to when we started the church. When we started the church, so this is back 2006 in Denver. I already told you 46 out of 50 for Lord's Church attendance in the nation. That first week, we invited a bunch of people from different churches, like 100 people when we started the church. We started what's called a parachute plant. So nobody gave us any money. Nobody gave us any people. Nobody gave us anything. We literally started from scratch. Nobody gave us a piece of toilet paper. And so 100 people, over 100 people show up that weekend because we invited them from everywhere. Like if you were a dancer, if you were a mimer, whatever you could do, like I invited everybody we could get. Next week, 7 people in church. Right now, the average is after your first week, you've dropped to 50%. I was like, this is a 97%, or 93% reduction. And so I remember going and preaching to those 7, like they were 7,000. And you fast forward years later, we've seen, as I mentioned, over 12,600 people give their lives to the Lord. So for me, I always step back and look at it as if I fight, what will I win? And that helps me to deal with the win, the WHEN. It helps me to deal with that.
Cool, man. Let me ask you this, get a little bit deeper on this. If you're, all right, so if you're starting a company or whatever you're doing in life, starting a relationship, a company, or whatever, and you're having difficulty, how much of that, let's say I wanted to start a company and it's just not going well, whatever, for whatever reason, I'm losing money, whatever. How much of that effect, you mentioned earlier that there's a reason for everything. I think you had said something like that. How much of that, in your opinion, would be spiritually caused, like by God or the creator stuff, or human error? And how do you distinguish between what's going on there? Like a fatalistic point of view, like, oh, well, it wasn't supposed to be. I don't really see you thinking like that, but I don't know. Or what, do I need to learn something, or what am I missing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look at life like this. I never see it as win or lose. I see it as win or learn. And the learns comes through what we often call as a loss. But if you view it that way, it's negative. If you view it as an investment into your future, you can switch the way that you view it. So it's not just about being positive. It's about figuring out, how do I move through life and keep it moving? Like sometimes the whole mission is to just keep it moving. I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday, and there's this story in Genesis 26 about this guy, Isaac. And Isaac, he's digging these wells, and every time he digs a well, he hits water. He's a very prosperous man, very successful man. People come mess with him. Isaac doesn't go back and forth and fight. The scripture says something really interesting. It just says, and he moved on to the next one. Dug another one. They mess with him there, and he moved on to the next one, dug another one. I think the distinguishing factor of how much of this is divine, how much of this is me, is again going to be situation specific. But I honestly think it takes a real belief. This is my core belief, that all things work together for my good. I believe that. So it's the opposite of paranoia. It's called pronoia. Pronoia says, I have a belief that there is a conspiracy in the world. Everybody's working together to benefit me. There's a scriptural basis for that, Romans 8:28. But then even beyond that, that is just a general belief of life. Like sometimes you have to sit back and look at your life and say, this has got to be more than luck. This has got to be more than just, I hit a few good breaks and I went to school here. I know this person, I know that person. At a certain point, you have to step back and say, I've beaten the statistics. I've overcome what others haven't overcome. It's a miracle that I'm here. I don't need a Bible to tell me about miracles because I am one. I'm a living, walking, talking, breathing miracle. So I have this underpinning belief, this substratum that says, I believe all things are working together for my good. So whether I did it, God did it, you did it, they did it, doesn't matter. It works for my good. That higher belief, to me, is what really helps you navigate through those situations, that this is working for me. Even if it hurts like heck, it's working for me. Even if it's painful, it's working for me. Even if it makes me want to pull my hair out when I had hair before I started cutting it off. All right. It's working for me. And I think if you keep that approach, even in the things that frustrate you and aggravate you, it helps you to navigate through that and not really look at things from a negative standpoint. Everything is going to be used by God. Good, bad, and the ugly.
That's cool. That's good. Yeah, I know you're non-denominational, right? The Harvest Church.
Yep.
So that means whether you're Catholic, Presbyterian, whatever, anybody could come.
Every background, but like the United Nations of Church, we say black, white, tall, short, everybody's included, nobody's excluded. Doesn't really matter the background. People from every walk of life connect, which is really, really cool. So you'll see a three-piece suit next to somebody tatted up, next to somebody, whatever. Everybody.
The way it should be, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Bishop. Dude, I think we could talk for another few hours, man. We're running out of time, but you're just fascinating what you do and all you've done. Can you tell everybody how they can find out about your church, where they can find more out about you, and we'll post all this in the links below this video.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. Thanks again for having me. And thank you for what you do. Creating conversations are catalysts for transformation. And you make it look easy, but doing what you do and doing the work you do, I know it. It takes a whole lot more. It's more than a notion. So thank you for what you do. People can connect at bishopforeman.com. And in fact, for those that are watching your show, watching your podcast, or listening, we got something special for them. If they text the word Bishop, BISHOP, the phone number 55498, we're going to give them a substantial discount in our online store. And we got books, we got all kinds of things. In fact, this is literally the very first one of my latest book called History Makers. It's a short read. I write books for men because men, most of us don't like long books, like get to the point, like what's the point? So all of our books are written for men and women, of course. But they can get that in our online store if they just text the word Bishop to the phone number 55498. They can do that and then go to bishopforeman.com, find out about the church, find out about all of what we do. We do coaching. There's a ton of things that we do that help people from a 360-degree standpoint. We didn't even get into the conversation on fitness. I've lost like 120 pounds.
Wow.
All natural. And,
Doing what? Just diet and exercise, or did you do anything special?
I just changed how I ate.
Changed how you ate.
Now I'm into the gym, but when I lost the first part of that weight, it was literally diet. You can't out-train your diet.
That's right. That's right. I hear it's 80% diet, 20% in the gym. I don't know if that's true, but certainly it is more diet than working.
I lost the first 95 with no gym. It was just some changes in what I ate and how I ate. Let me be clear. I ate, because most people think, if you're going to lose weight, whatever, you can't eat anything. I ate good. I ate good then. I ate good now. This is about understanding when not to eat, what to eat, that type of thing. And, that was one of those journeys for me that I was like, I do not want to be a preacher that's out of shape. And by the time you finish on Sunday, you're tired, you're laying down, you're out of energy, you're out of life. Like, you're speaking life into so many people, but you're not living your life. To me, I was like, nah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, you go. I hear you, man. Yeah, well, you look good, man. You look very young to have done all you've done. So, congrats.
I got started early.
Yeah, that's true. You said was the first business at 12, or you took out that loan at 12?
Yeah, first business at 12, first got into ministry at 12 too. Yeah, I got started early. I prayed this crazy prayer when I was a kid. I said, God, accelerate my destiny. It was a crazy prayer. So I was doing stuff, pretty early on that most people don't do until later on in their life. And so, it's been amazing to see. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. Like, I'm just getting started and, excited to be down here in Atlanta, up the street from you.
Right, man. Good. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck in March when y'all open the New Harvest Church. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, man. And thank you so much for your time, Bishop Foreman. It's been an amazing conversation. Yes, sir. All right, everybody. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us. I hope, to me, I was very impressed with everything we heard. And I've been to the website. It has got a whole lot of information. What's the website, the web address again, Bishop Foreman?
Yeah, bishopforeman.com.
Okay, that makes it easy for us. Bishop Foreman, Foreman, right?
You got it.
Okay. Yeah, lots of stuff. Training. I mean, there's a lot of information there. It's good. So check that out. I hope you enjoyed what we said. Leave us a comment. If you agree, you disagree, you want to add to the conversation, please comment for us. Like this episode, share it with your friends, and we will see you on the next Hines On Air.
Everybody make some noise.